Thank you.
I mean, or 3:42, depending on where you are.
Okay, go ahead, Mary.
Okay, so we're calling this meeting to order at 10:42 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for joining the meeting. I'd like to just do introductions of the people on the committee. To start with, I am Mary Anderson. I'm the chair of this Committee for Concerns of the Aging on Community Board 12. And again, I welcome all of you. Yourself,
Joseph Kalinsky, I'm the assistant chair. Welcome.
James.
James Bosley, I am a member of this committee and a member of Traffic and Transportation.
Liz.
Hi, Liz Ritter. I'm a member of this committee, and actually at the moment, that's the only committee that I'm on. And greetings from Girona.
Carol.
Carol Weeks, Dyckman AOC, member of this committee, and happy it's the only one.
And Dory.
Good morning, everyone. Dory Garcia, Executive Director, ARC 16 for Washington. Also, WICOA Treasurer and public member of this committee.
Thank you. All right, so we have a new member assigned to our committee, a new member of the board. She's not here yet. I understood that she was going to be here in person. However, I guess there was an issue or problem. I don't know what happened, but she may join us at
She's
some
coming
point.
in 2 minutes.
Huh?
Or she's coming in 2 minutes. We don't know.
Right. Anyway, her name is Hannah Ney. I think that's how it's pronounced, Ney. So we welcome her to the committee. And she's also going to be on the Youth and Education Committee. Seems to be kind of a, this combination of committees has, been a thing.
Spanning the
For a couple of other people. It's the youngest and
Exactly.
the oldest,
Very good.
so why not? Because certainly we believe in intergenerational activity. So again, welcome to Hannah. We're going to move into the presentations rather than having introductions of everyone else because and we'll have them, introduce themselves as well. We're a presentation on elder abuse. We have two people from the DA's office. We have Jocelyn Minaya. You could introduce Jocelyn. Are you there?
Yes, of course. Good morning, everyone. Jocelyn Minaya. I am the director of the Manhattan District Attorney's Washington Heights office. A friend to the committee and the community board, and a friend to many of you as well. And looking forward to making friends with all of you. Thank you, Mary.
Okay.
And I'll introduce, if I may, my colleague. So I have the honor of working with this wonderful woman. She has done so much for this office in various capacities. The latest, which was the deputy in our domestic violence unit for our Special Victims Bureau, which is now Special Victims Division. And she has now taken over the reins of our elder abuse unit, a unit that's near and dear to my heart. As many of you know, seniors, are hold a very dear place in my heart and in the work that I do. And I was very happy that DA Bragg appointed Assistant District Attorney Janine Lunay as the chief of our elder abuse unit, and she's kicking butt out there. So, Janine.
It's very nice to meet you. I have the privilege of working with Jocelyn every day. I thank the good Lord that Jocelyn is up in Washington Heights because it makes everything so much easier. And the community is very fortunate to have her. So thank you for the introduction, Jocelyn. It is my privilege to work with you. I really enjoy it. Looking forward to talking a little bit about elder scams. We are getting hit very hard. Really all of Manhattan, but certainly Washington Heights has its share. And I have some trends that I've seen that I'd like to share with everybody. And I think
Janine, if we could just hold on, I want to introduce the other group of panelists, presenters as well. Okay, thank you. Loanges, if you can begin?
Yes,
Just
good morning.
Brief introduction
Yes.
and yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Loangie Sanchez, and I'm the program director at Neighborhood Shop for the Elder Justice Program.
Ashley?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Ashley Carlos. I am the outreach social worker at Neighborhood Shop's Elder Justice Program.
And Leon?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Leon Reed, and I'm the Assistant Program Director at the Neighborhood Shop, Elder Justice Program.
Thank you. And when you begin your presentation, I'd like you to say what Neighborhood Shop,
Of
what
course.
what that acronym stands for.
Yes.
It's still not fully in my head. I know it's, I know kind of what it is, but anyway, so Janine, I'll ask you to begin.
The first sort of practical question, how much time would you like me to take or not take?
15 or so.
15?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can go quickly. Are we live?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Janine Lene. I'm the Chief of the Elder Abuse Unit over the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of elder abuse. And are we doing this only in English for this presentation? Yes. Okay. All right. So let me see if I can share my screen. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Okay. So Jocelyn Manaya, who is the head of the Washington Heights office, and I work for Mr. Alvin Bragg, who is the district attorney for Manhattan. Here he is over here. He is from Harlem. He took office in January 1 of 2022. He oversees all prosecutions, investigations, and handling of criminal actions that happen in Manhattan. We have 3 offices, one in Washington Heights on 166th Street, where Jocelyn is, and she can answer questions if you need to have there. And another one also on Adam Clayton Powell and downtown at 1 Hogan Place. You can reach us at any of the 3 places if you want. We are accessible, and we also take telephone calls and as well as walk-ins. The office does a lot. You don't have to remember all of this, just to give you an idea that we do a lot of different things. And if there's some kind of crime that happens in Manhattan, the odds are good that we can deal with it. So people generally think of elder abuse, they think of physical abuse, but it can be any one of these few things that I've put up on the screen. It could be domestic violence, physical abuse, psychological or emotional abuse, neglect. Sexual abuse is still happening to the older population. And just for your understanding, when we talk about how we handle abuse in the older community by the Manhattan DA's office, we're looking at anyone who is 60 or over. So if you're 60 and over and a crime happens to you, you fall under our jurisdiction. I'd really like to take an opportunity to have everyone sort of act as our ambassadors. The only thing that we can do really to combat some of these crimes is to talk amongst each other and spread information and to encourage community. Most criminal actors succeed because they're able to isolate their victims and they're able to cut them off from their sources of support. And so these are some of the reasons why people don't talk about elder abuse. Often it's someone who has access to the older adult. So we're talking about a family member or a friend, and they don't want to get that person in trouble. They may have a relationship with them. They're embarrassed or ashamed that they've been the victim of a crime, especially if it's a finance issue or if it's a romance scam. They don't want to talk about it. Sometimes the people that are taking advantage or committing crimes against the older adults will actually threaten the older adults. So that person may be afraid of being physically injured. A lot of people think that others won't care or won't listen. They don't know where to go to get help, or they think that nothing is going to happen if they do report. So these are some of the traditional barriers to abuse in the older adult population. You should think about, if you're looking at older adult abuse and you're thinking about where to go for help, not only is there a very robust community that is assigned to help work with older adults, Neighborhood Shop is on this call as well, and we partner with them on many cases. They're a very good community. They help us address the problem. But if you have a family relationship, and family in New York is defined as someone who's related to you by blood, so, a cousin, an uncle, a niece, or a nephew, or by marriage or children in common. So it's either an intimate partner relationship or it's a family relationship. If you're related by law because someone is married, so in-laws, brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, you're covered by what we call family violence. And that gives you an extra set of protections in addition to everything that's available under the older adult rubric. So there are things like safety planning and lock changes. You can get a civil order of protection instead of a criminal order of protection if you're having a problem with a family member. And that's something that people want to do sometimes because they don't want to bring their family into contact with the criminal justice system. So there, if you need an order of protection and you don't necessarily want to go to the police, if it's a family situation, an in-law, a child, a grandchild, a nephew, another option is family court. We're not going to force anyone to do things that they don't want to do. So if the older adult really doesn't want to go forward, we're not going to push them very hard to go forward. It does, of course, depend on what the crime is. But we want to encourage people to talk about it and to report and to get help. So maybe your solution is not going to be a criminal justice solution. Maybe it is going to be a criminal justice solution. We encourage everyone to come and talk about it because people shouldn't suffer in silence. I'm going to talk about scams because scams are older adult abuse, and it will have some of the themes in here that we see in abuse in the older community. So we tell people that fraudsters or scammers are looking for a few specific things: your information, your social security number, your date of birth, your address, the correct spelling of your name, access to your money, so getting you on the phone and getting you to wire or transfer money, your actual money. So can you put money or gift cards in a Federal Express box and mail it to me? These are the things that they're looking for. All of these things go on lists. These lists are sold to other scammers. If you were scammed by one person, that information will probably be sold to other scammers that you have paid before in the past, and you might be likely to pay again in the future, which is why we hear people saying, oh my gosh, I sent money to one scammer and now I keep getting called all the time. It's because people are on a list. So fraudsters, scammers, really all criminals are trying to do a few things to gain control over an older adult. They're trying to create a sense of urgency, like you've got to do something right now, right now, right now. If you can't slow it down, the odds are that there might be something that's not quite right about it. They often request secrecy. Hey, there's this great investment opportunity, but don't tell anyone because the investment opportunity will go away. That's not a legitimate investment opportunity. They reinforce senses of loneliness and isolation. Your kids don't care about you. No one comes to visit you. You're all alone, but I'm here for you and I'm going to help take care of you. And if you try to get rid of me, you're going to be all alone. You're going to go to a nursing home. Your children are going to think you're not really competent. They overwhelm with charm. They foster dependency. We see a lot of people being like, I can help you run your groceries. I can help you pay your bills. And the next thing you know, you can't get your bank cards back from the person who is allegedly helping you. They can be very frightening and intimidating. And sometimes after the front load of charm, if that doesn't work, they might then go to the next thing, which is the offensive of like, I know everything about you and bad things are going to happen to you and to your family and your friends unless you do what I want you to do. So because abuse thrives in the shadows, all kinds of abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, we urge people to try and talk to other people, resist urges to people to cut you off from other folks, try and foster a sense of community, try and keep people in your ambit. Be careful of people that want to cut you off from your friends and family. And then there are these complicated stories that don't really make any sense. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how some of these things sort of hijack our brains and our limbic systems and stop us from thinking very clearly about what's going on. So these are a few of the classic scams that are going around. They're very easy for the scammers. They make lots of money doing this. And so they've been doing this for decades. They're not going anywhere. One of them is like, you've won the lottery. You get a phone call or a text or a letter saying that you've won the lottery. I saw someone who got a letter in the mail saying, we've chosen you for Mega Millions. No, you have to buy a Mega Million ticket. So you've won the lottery. The only catch is you have to pay the taxes. So all of these scams have like an element of something that sounds reasonable. Sure, I have to pay taxes on everything. Why not on a lottery winning? You don't have to pay taxes up front on a lottery winning. And you don't pay them to the lottery person. You pay them to the IRS. So anyone who says you've won the lottery, I need to, you just need to give us some money for the taxes, or you just need to verify your information, your name, your social security, all of that. That's something that you should be careful of. And if you don't remember having entered the lottery, please delete the text, the email, throw out the piece of paper. Part two that we've seen is someone comes up to someone in the street and they say, listen, you know, I've won like a very minor money on lottery. Like I've won $80 or $100. I don't have any ID. Can I sell you the ticket? You can cash it in. Give me $20 for it. This way we'll both be ahead of the game. If you want to give that person $20 because you think they're down on their luck and you think that they could use the $20 and you can spare it, God bless you. But you're not going to be able to cash that lottery ticket. That's not a real ticket. Romance scams are alive and well. They are incredibly, incredibly difficult to break because the person who gets scammed by the romance person is going to be very difficult to convince them that, in fact, it's a scam. We've seen these romance scammers take everything that people have in their accounts and have the people take out loans. It's really a horrible, horrible situation. If you know someone who's in one of these things, you can try to talk to them about what's going on. But you may have to enlist the help of an organization like Neighborhood Shop or some of the other organizations to slow down the taking of the money because they really are without mercy. And they meet people, you know, either by direct message or on a text message, sometimes even on legitimate websites. And they will do what we call love bombing. You know, love bombing is like, you're the best person in the world. You're the smartest, most capable, most intelligent person in the world. You're just wonderful. And then gradually after a period of time, and they're willing to spend a lot of time on this, after a period of time, there'll be an ask for money. Their child is in the hospital, their car broke down, their roof is leaking. They need to come and see you, so they need a ticket. So what I say to people that say, don't you believe in love at first sight? I say, sure, it's absolutely possible, but it shouldn't be this expensive. And it certainly you shouldn't have to take out a loan to give money to someone that, you know, you care for, and you should still be able to pay your rent after this relationship that you're in. But this is a very, very pervasive scheme. It happens all the time. You probably know someone who's fallen victim to this scam. It's all over the country. The grandparent scam is another one that's all over the country. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it works. So here we have, so if you get like a loud pop-up or a loud noise or someone screaming into a phone, usually what your body does is shut down because your body interprets there to be an emergency. So when your body shuts down and tries to react to the emergency, your brain doesn't think so well. So the phone rings and someone says, you know, grandma, it's me. And it's someone who's very upset and very excited. Almost everyone says, is that you, Jane? Almost everyone says that. And the person says, yes, it's me. Don't tell mom and dad. This is the request for secrecy. I didn't tell them that I was going to Canada with my friends. The car broke down. Can you please just send me some gift card money? My battery's dying on my phone. You have to do it right now. The other version of this is someone calls and says they're the lawyer for your grandchild or your child. They've been in a car accident and they're in jail. And in order to get them out, you need to find, $10,000 and bring it to them and your child will be out of jail. They're going to send someone to pick up the money from your house, the Uber driver or whatever, or they'll ask you to wire money someplace, usually to an individual's name. And if you pay that money, they'll come back and they'll say the person that your child hit has died. The charges are now homicide and they need more money. So if anyone calls and says, grandma, or grandpa, it's me. I've been in a terrible accident. Don't tell mom and dad. Please take down the information and call your relatives. This is why it's nice to have two phones in the house. Most folks have a hard line or a cell line, but there's rarely an emergency that you can't put someone on hold and call to verify what's going on. Computer and phone repairs. We're getting them all the time. A pop-up comes up saying, your computer's been damaged. In order to fix it, you need to install something on your computer. Do not install anything on your computer or your phone if someone calls you or texts you and tells you that your computer is infected and that they're here to help. Apple is not calling to tell you that your phone's been compromised. Dell is not calling to tell you that your computer has been compromised. These are all scams. We've been getting a lot of these. I'll show you one that the FTC has sort of preserved in a later slide. This has been going on all over Manhattan and people are being taken for this. So please, please pass the word on this. Something will flash on your computer usually with a loud noise, again, discombobulating people, loud noise, warning signal. Something's been compromised your computer, call this number. Do not call the number. This is a scam. Then there's usually some very complicated story about how, fraudsters are using your computers. You can help the Department of Justice by taking out your own money and giving it to them. The FBI, the Secret Service, our office, no one is going to ask you to take out your money and transfer it to another account to help us catch the scammers. We just don't do that. We're not playing with your money. This is all a scam. They'll tell you that they work with so-and-so. They'll transfer you to different places. They'll give you badge numbers. None of this is real. It's all of a scam. IRS, utilities, car debts. If you owe this debt, if you don't pay it by gift card, anyone that wants a gift card is probably not a legitimate person. The government does not take gift cards. So if someone is asking you to go get gift cards from CVS to the tune of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 and give them the numbers, please don't do that. Please verify that this is an actual person. How do you verify? Take the person's first name, take their last name, take a telephone number where they work. Don't call that number. If they say they're from Con Ed, call Con Ed. Call Con Ed and say, I got a phone call saying that, I owe X number of dollars on my utility bill. Is that you? And the odds are that it is not. Same, Social Security cards can't be suspended. Don't give anyone any money to restore your Social Security card. It's not been suspended. We're not sending a sheriff to come and get you because you have a debt on some kind of Social Security issue. So anyone starts talking about Social Security cards and being suspended, disconnect from those people. All over the nation, or U.S. post boxes, those blue boxes are being hit. People either steal cards from keys from carriers, or they actually sit there at night and they try and pull the mail out through the slot. And then they soak the check in a solution, wash off the ink, put in a new name and a new amount, and they deposit it somewhere else. Be careful because they don't put it in their own account, right? Because then we would arrest them. They ask someone else to deposit it into their account. So, hey, can you do me a favor? Same thing. I don't have any ID. I have this check that I need to deposit. Can you deposit it for me? Fortunately, we know that this is how they do it. So we have long conversations with people before we try to act on that. But this is happening nationwide. So the U.S. Postal Service recommends that if you have a check that you're trying to mail, bring it directly to the post office or deposit it in the post office box 5 or 10 minutes before a mail carrier is supposed to come. You can try and use either permanent marker or blue or black gel ink, which is more resistant to being washed off. But again, it's resistant. It's not impossible. So I would say, try and see if you can get it to the mailbox. This hits the older adult population harder because we write checks. The young people have other means of paying. They use their computer or their debit, but most of our population are still writing checks. So it's really hitting our community very, very hard. So don't click on links. If you don't know what it is, don't click on it. Just don't click on it. Here's an example that the FTC put in. Sometimes when we get these calls from people and they give telephone numbers, what I like to do is just put the telephone number in to see where that number comes back from. So these are the links. As you can see from this link, there's not a lot of information there, right? I don't know who this is from, and I don't have a bank account at Regions. So a lot of people see the pop-up. They're like, oh my God, something is wrong. I need to click on this to get access to it. Don't click on it. Look for grammatical mistakes or things that don't sound like English, for example. This one says, this is to notify you the detected irregular activity on your online banking account. So this is not a native English speaker, and it is 100% a scam. Here is one of the pop-ups that comes up. It's an example. If you Google this telephone number here, you will see that the FTC has identified it as a scam. So I say also, if you get these things, you can report it to the FTC, the Department of Justice, and you can also report it to the FBI. And they collect this information and they sometimes publish out saying, these informations we know to be scams. So we say just be careful out there on the computers. The fraudsters have figured out that not everyone has a computer, but almost everyone has a phone. So they've really moved aggressively over to text. So expect to get these things on your text messages. You can contact us. We have a flyer that talks a little bit about how to protect yourselves and your loved ones that we can share electronically, and also the top scams that are sort of circulating around. We just urge everyone to just be careful out there. Be careful of people that are trying to actively cultivate you, because unfortunately older adults are being targeted. Even if you don't have a lot of money, if you have a monthly check, that's valuable to someone. So we see people that, try to entrench themselves into other people's lives, and then they're very, very hard to extricate. I'm happy to take questions if you have any. Thanks for having me.
I just would like to add something really quick, if I may. I included in the chat my information, and I will be sharing the flyer with Madam Chair, so she can share with everyone on the committee and everyone from the community that needs it. We also have copies that we can deliver to your centers if you need them, so that you can also share. And we're also happy to come into your to your centers and give these presentations as well. I wanted to share a new scam that I've been hearing about as well. And we're coming upon the holidays, so this is a time when everyone's out and about, and our seniors are a little more vulnerable. And we're also going to be having flyers about it, but it's people coming up to you, and not just to our elders community in general, saying if they can please borrow your phone. It could be either because they lost theirs allegedly, or because their battery died, or they're friendly and say, give me your phone, I'll put my number in there for you, or I'll put my social media handle in your phone for you. And while you think that that's what they're doing, they're actually selling themselves money from your account. And it takes but a few seconds to do this. They're very apt in maneuvering the phone while they're distracting you, speaking to you, and can literally remove thousands of dollars from someone's account without anyone knowing. So please also share that information with your seniors. Oftentimes we want to be great community people and take care of each other, but oftentimes that kind of backfires on us. So please do not share your phone with anyone. If someone's in distress, you can say, I'll call the number for you, and you dial it, and however you can try and help that person, but don't hand your phone over to anyone, and please share that with our seniors. And the flyer also is going to have the elder abuse hotline, but you also have this office here. Many of your centers are here in Washington Heights and Inwood. Janine, I'm happy to field any questions or concerns and consult with Janine, and also connect you with Janine. And Janine's also happy to come up to Washington Heights when she can and meet with people there. So that's all I had to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. Janine, if you could send me the PowerPoint, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you.
So that I can share it with the folks who are on the call. And we've been joined by Richard Allman, who is a member of this committee as well. He's on Zoom. Welcome, Richard. Okay, any questions from
I have a
the
question.
committee? Yes.
If there's a crime that is defined as an elder abuse under the guidelines that you gave us, is there an additional punishment for that crime if it's defined as a elder abuse crime?
So there are very few actual crimes called elder abuse. So in New York, it's like assault, it's like theft. For assault, there actually is. So if you are over 65 and someone under 10 years younger than you assaults you, that changes the level of the crime from an A misdemeanor to a felony. So there are a few crimes where your age is very specific, but there are very few crimes. Frankly, if you're attacked because of your age, that can also be a hate crime, because attacking the older population is a hate crime. So if someone comes up to you and says something to that effect, and it's pretty clear that that's the reason why they're committing the crime may be elevated for that factor as well too.
Thank you.
Any other committee member have a question or concern? Seeing none. Anyone else on the call? Okay. I don't see any more questions or raised hands, so we will proceed with the second part of our presentation. Ashley,
All
go,
right.
you're on.
Thank you so much for having us today. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen first. All right, so first and foremost, I just want to thank Janine and Jocelyn for sharing such important information. It is always important for us professionals to know what is happening, as well as just to reiterate that to the older adults within the community. So we are Neighborhood Self-Help by Older Persons Project, also known as Neighborhood Shop, but we also like to keep it short and simple, and we call ourselves Shop as well. So we are from the Elder Justice Program. So Loange's had already introduced herself, as well as Leon Reed. But within our program, we have 4 social workers, a case manager, an intake worker, and myself, which is the outreach social worker. Before I begin, I just want to ask 2 questions just to kind of gauge the audience. So for you guys, how many of you have witnessed some form of elder abuse taking place? Raise hand, you can comment in the chat, right? Most likely, most of us have seen some form of elder abuse or witnessed, right? Another question, how many of you guys have had someone confide in you as to a situation that had been occurring with elder abuse? Right, a couple of us, right? Probably majority of us have had some form of interaction or engagement when it comes to elder abuse, right? And this is why it's so important for all of us to be aware of the services and the help that is out there, so that when someone does come to us, we can easily connect them to the most appropriate services so that they can effectively find a solution. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the next slide. This is working. Okay. All right.
There you go.
Perfect. All right, so we're on to the next slide. So before I begin, I do want to give a brief overview about Neighborhood Shop for anyone who may not know, or just as a refresher for those who do know a little bit about us. Shop's mission is based on the philosophy of self-help. We believe that older adults are capable of helping themselves, helping others, improve their capacity to deal with the physical, emotional, social, financial challenges they face as they age. We have 11 different programs, right? And we do consider ourselves a one-stop shop. A lot of times when we have one client who comes in, we're able to internally refer them to other programs within our agency. So we have New York Connects of the Bronx, which is the single point of entry to long-term care for older adults, caregivers, and disabled of all ages. We have our Community Care Network program, which is a program that goes to different sites within the Bronx, providing them with educational classes, assistance with applications. We have 4 older adult centers, Casa Boricua, Guest, Leon, and Soundview. We also have our NORC program, which is just a naturally occurring retirement community program that provides assistance to those who live in the Lafayette Estates. We have a case management program, which is just a supported programming, providing services to those or support to those who are homebound, where they can connect them with meals or ISAP within the case management. We also have our friendly visiting program, which is where volunteers call many of these homebound older adults in hopes to reduce that social isolation that can occur when someone isn't going out as often, but they're also engaging them and connecting them within the community. We have our caregivers program, which is just another supportive programming for those who are caring for a loved one. We understand that it can be difficult to be a caregiver, right? A lot of stress can occur. So within this program, we're able to connect them with other caregivers so that they can be able to share experiences and really find the support within that community. We also have, last but not least, our Elder Justice / Violence Intervention and Prevention Program, VIP for sure as well. Have a lot of acronyms over here. All right, so now a brief overview on our Elder Justice Program. our elder justice program was created to alleviate the effects of elder abuse on older adults. We really try to help navigate the barriers that can occur, right? Loneliness, dependency, and other barriers that can occur through the situation. We also really just try to create a safe space for a lot of our older adults, whether that's in their home or in the community, right? Because abuse isn't only happening in the house, but it can also happen outside of it, right? So we want to be sure that we create those safe spaces, and we'll get a little bit more into that. For the eligibility of our program, the person or the older adult needs to be 60 years of age and older, live in the Bronx or Manhattan Community District 12. So we have expanded to the Manhattan CD12 area since January of this year, and we are very grateful, and we are, really looking forward to continuing to provide services to this area. The client would also need to have the mental capacity. So someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, we would not be able to assist. However, the beautiful thing about our program, we are connected to other programs that we can easily refer, right? Do a safe transfer over so that person or individual, right, is able to be assisted or well connected, right? That is so important because a lot of times we just kind of, not everyone, right? But we kind of just throw them out and say, we can't help, and kind of throw our hands up in the air, right? No, we are a program that's going to say, okay, we're not able to help, and this is the reason, or this is the reason why you're not eligible, but let us refer you out to another program that is. Another thing for our program, when we define elder abuse, right, it's someone that they have a trusting relationship that is causing them some form of harm. Another beautiful thing about our program, when the referral first comes in, we do have an intake worker who explores that trusting relationship in order to gauge where this trusting relationship is. And again, just really look into, okay, are you eligible or are you not? Do we need to refer you out, or can we further assist you right here and right now? Now we are going to talk about the services and really look into how we as a program are combating elder abuse. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Loangie.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. That was great. We'll definitely take some questions at the end of the presentation. So now as we're getting into the services that we provide in our elder justice program, as Ashley mentioned in the beginning, we have an amazing team of 5 workers in total, 4 social workers, 1 case manager. They all do amazing services, right? They all work with the elderly population in reference to combating this elder abuse situation. So within the service that we can provide, of course, we provide case assistance. What does that look like? So for case assistance would be any type of service for the older adult where we're making the referrals, we're doing these assessments, making sure that there is no unmet needs such as home care, other benefits and entitlements, advocacy, family counseling even. When we go into supportive counseling, which I'll get a little bit more into in the next slide, but definitely supportive counseling is one of the biggest pieces in the work that we do. You might ask yourself why. Well, as we talked about earlier, elder abuse is something that is not often spoken about, right? A lot of our older adults that we work with, a lot of times they don't want to deal with the situation, or they minimize what is going on in the home. A lot of them, they think that, oh, this is normal. My daughter, my son, my granddaughter, yes, she yells at me. Yes, she curses at me. She takes my money, but that's okay. That's my daughter. That's my son. That's my grandson. So we are here to let them know and educate them, providing them with those tools of, no, that is not okay, right? That is not normal. That is not acceptable behavior. So when it comes to our supportive counseling, we really want to just educate the older adult and just letting them know of those resources.
It's muted. It's muted. We can't hear.
I can unmute myself. And think, oh, I think
We're good?
good.
Can you guys hear me now? Okay, I see Jocelyn will say yes. All right. So I don't know how long I was muted for, but we'll get more into the whole supportive counseling. Again, what I was saying is that supportive counseling is just important so that the social worker and the older adult just talk about those different intervention options that are available to just help minimize and stop the abusive behavior. When it comes to outreach, again, our wonderful outreach social worker, Ms. Ashley Carlos, she is the face of the program. She's the one out there in the community providing these educational presentations to our elderly. We also have the social workers who can present and do different workshops depending on the need or the request from the community. We usually do presentations at Lehman College, Hostos, and anywhere, whatever you guys need, we are here to support you. We do cater to different topics depending again on the request. Again, going back to the services between the social worker and our elderly client, of course, when we're talking about elder abuse, safety planning is critical, right? Safety planning and crisis intervention come hand in hand, right? Our mission is to make sure that from the point of that introductory call between our social worker and our client, that the social worker ends that call with a safety plan. That can be something as simple as, do you know how to dial 911? Can you see your phone? Is, your cell phone, do you know how to dial 911? If you had an emergency, maybe not calling the police, but do you know how to call your safe contact, your daughter, your grandson, your neighbor, to let them know that you are in danger or that you need help? Even in safety planning topic, when the social worker is working with the elderly. So you would think something as simple as teaching our older adult how to record, right? Because a lot of our elderly clients are not tech savvy, right? We're getting there. We are helping. I think the pandemic has helped us get them a little more advanced. But something as simple as teaching them, like, how do you go to your camera and how to record a video? Right? Because what happens is that as the social worker is assisting the client, understanding the situation of elder abuse, a lot of times they're like, well, when my son starts acting like this, I do call the police. But what happens? The police doesn't come right away. So the police comes a little later. Maybe the alleged abuser has already left, or maybe things have just calmed down, right? So the police usually will tell the abuser, go take a walk, come back. And again, the abuser, they're smart, right? So they're not going to act inappropriately in front of an officer. So that's where the social worker would educate and provide this safety plan with our client to say, no, when he acts out, erratically, just take a video, show what exactly he's doing, breaking items in the home, punching, walls or pushing the client, whatever that inappropriate behavior is. We always want to encourage the older adult to feel like they have some form of power and control in those situations. We do assist with lock installation services. We do provide other supplemental services. So a lot of times with our clients, of course, we do an assessment. In those assessments, if the client is in need of food, we do provide that. Now for the winter, if the client, is in need of a heater or any other item, we can also provide them with that. In the summer, we do usually also assist with like ACs, right? Our elderlies usually don't have the means, right? They're on a limited budget. So our program is very blessed to be able to provide those supplementals when that is a need. We can go to the next slide. Okay. So going back to what I shared earlier in reference to our supportive counseling, what you guys are seeing on the screen is one of the intervention tools that we utilize in our program. And this is called the Staircase Model by Risa Breckman. And this is utilized by the social worker. And you may ask how, right? So what you're seeing here is literally like a staircase, right? The first step is the reluctance stage. The next would be the recognition stage. And the last step would be the rebuilding stage. In a picture perfect world, the goal in our program as the social workers are working with the elderly, the goal is to get the client to go through the staircase, one step at a time, right? We all know that, again, because elder abuse is such a sensitive topic, we need to make sure that the elderly feels like they are in a safe place, but the social worker needs to be able to create that safe space, be able to build that rapport, right? Of course, we have some referrals where the older adult is ready to, just disclose what's going on. They've had it. No, I can't take this anymore. Yes, this is happening. But in a lot of other cases, again, the client is in denial. The client is not ready or willing to speak about what's going on. And maybe we've received a referral from an officer or a neighbor or a doctor. And again, it's our job to make sure that we do a proper assessment and just build that rapport, right? I do tell the social workers, you have to be a little patient. You kind of have to beat around the bush until our elderly is not ready and feels like you are a trusted person. They are not going to open up to you. So again, going back to the staircase model, the social worker at point of introductory call, right, after the case is assigned to them, they have to make 5 attempts within 3 days, throughout 3 days of the intake being assigned. If there is no direct contact with the client, then they have 10 days to conduct a home visit. So at the point of whatever that initial contact with the elderly, our social worker needs to be able to identify in what stage is the client at, right? So when we look at the reluctant stage, this is the stage where the client is, not really open to speaking about the situation. They're minimizing, the actions of the abuser. They really don't want to talk about it. Then when we go into the recognition stage, at this point, the victim is really, opening up and saying, yes, my son, my daughter, my granddaughter, she or he does act in this way. It does make me feel a little sad. He does push me, he does harass me. But they're still not ready. And they are willingly saying, you know what, I know this is wrong, but I love them. That's my son, that's my daughter. I don't want to put them out. I don't want them to be homeless. So that's the recognition stage. And then again, the rebuilding stage, which is the last stage, this is where the victim is fed up, they've had it, they are ready and willing to proceed with those legal options. And we are ready to, take on full force how to provide support to the victim. One of the biggest things that I did forget to mention in reference to the support that we can provide, our social workers are able to go to court with our clients, right? It goes back to the whole safety planning and the intervention planning with the client. Of course, the client has to be ready and willing to do these steps, right? Our social workers are only here to provide that support, right? Because a lot of times the elderly will be like, well, are you gonna evict, the abuser? And we're like, no, we're not the one evicting, right? We are here to provide you with the support. So our social workers will be going to, family court, housing court, criminal court, and just providing that support to the client as they undergo this process. Again, within, the staircase model, in the picture perfect world, they would, ideally go from one stage to the next. However, that doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes you might be speaking to a client who is within the rebuilding stage, and it's like, no, I've had it, I'm done. Yes, let's go to court. The court date with the social worker is confirmed. And guess what? The day of the court, client's like, you know what? I changed my mind. And that's okay, right? So we're going to continue to work with the victim to kind of like get her back to where we would like her to be, right? Because again, our services are 100% voluntary. If our client is saying, no, I do not want your service, then we have to respect that. We do respect self-determination. And this is why it goes back to our eligibility. If the older adult does not have the capacity to make decisions and our social workers cannot receive consent from the client, then unfortunately we are not able to provide them with the service, right? Because again, you go back to what is Neighborhood Shop. We are a self-help agency. So we are here to provide and co-pilot that decision, but ultimately our goal and our mission is to empower our elderly to make that decision for themselves, right? Because we can sit here and speak to someone and say, oh my God, you need to call 911. You need to get this order of protection, right? We as professionals know that that would be the best. But guess what? If the elderly is not ready and willing to proceed, then there's nothing we can do. And that's why our services at Neighborhood Shop and with all the other wonderful programs that are out there are so vital, because we are the ones that, you know, are going to get those conversations. We're going to get those phone calls. And our job is literally to help the client just get to that rebuilding stage and just be ready to move forward. And then last but not least, on the screen, you have our main phone number for any, referrals. We always ask everyone to just have an open mind, right? We all as professionals know what elder abuse looks like, sounds like. Even if you have not witnessed the abuse yourself, we get a lot of calls from like neighbors, and they're like, oh, I hear yelling and screaming a lot. Whatever it is, if you have not seen the abuse, I think it's better to be safe than sorry and just call in those referrals. Even going back to what Ashley mentioned in the beginning, if you are not sure, right? Like if we get a call from someone and they're like, well, I believe the elderly might have dementia. She's very forgetful. I would still approve that intake to be completed. Why? Because I feel that the social worker needs to do a proper assessment of the situation and try at least to engage with the victim. If the social worker comes back and says, well, we can't really engage with her, we noticed this and this, now we do our due diligence of just making that referral to Adult Protective Services, who we work very good with. We also work with Safe Horizon for elder abuse referrals that are more related to crime, right? Because again, for us, elder abuse is used very vaguely. And of course, we get a lot of calls where elderly is like, you know what, my neighbor from upstairs does not let me go to sleep. They're playing loud music at all times. I can't deal with them. And when the intake worker is like, oh, well, unfortunately, that wouldn't be a case that we can take, they get a little upset. But when we're talking about that warm transfer, we do make sure that they are connected to Safe Horizon, who has the Crime Victims Assistance Program, and they are great. And we do work very well with them. So that's DIP Elder Justice in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions, we would love to answer them.
Let's make her unmuted, yeah. So, wow. Lots of information, and what a great presentation. Appreciate it all. Thank you.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, but the
Okay.
PowerPoint was shared with you, Mary.
Okay, so if you could do me a favor, Ashley, and
Mhm.
send the updated, because I know you had an additional corrected version.
Yeah.
If you could just send me the latest version of
In a
those
post.
PowerPoints so that I can send it out to everyone. Thank you.
I think Richard has his hand up.
Okay,
Probably.
yeah, it's
Yes,
alphabetical,
Rick, see it.
it's
I see it.
alphabetical order.
Go for it.
For the Arc Fort Washington organization, which Dory heads and where I work, it's part in CB12, part in CB10. So we connect in different ways with Neighborhood Shop and with Carter Burden and with the DA's office, of course. I'm wondering if between all of you, we could figure out a best way to put together a staff training that would be for our caseworkers, probably the whole staff.
I think that would be a
Absolutely.
great idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We would love to partner with Shop again. Absolutely.
Okay, we have Carter Burden, because we're in CB10, coming to do a presentation on seniors on November 28th. I raised the staff training question. I think I talked about it with them, but now seeing you all in the same space and them there, I'm wondering if someone could be the point person for coordinating a training and seeing that our staff, which crosses the different centers, is connected at least to both Carter Burden and Shop so that we all know each other.
Or are you saying you would like for us to go and partner with Burton as well on that day, or you want to set something differently?
That's my first thought, but I think it makes sense for Dory to add to this discussion.
Yeah, because since A. Phillip is in a different district and he already has a partnership with Carlton Burton, I think between all three and ARC, we can actually have the training, especially for all the staff. Because sometimes the caseworker will see it, or that they have the harder work. But then the custodian might see something and he might not know what to do. The kitchen staff might see something and don't know even to come to the caseworker or to the supervisor to say, I saw this, what should we do?
So I think if I may suggest, I can speak to Janine and we can see if we could partner with you for A. Phillip and Carter Burton, and certainly partner with SHOP and do ARC.
Excellent.
Does that work?
That would be great.
What time is on the 28th, Richard?
It's a 1 o'clock presentation.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Great.
1 o'clock on the 28th. At this point, the lead presenter is Margaret Woods.
And then I'll coordinate with Dory and get a few dates, and then I'll call you guys, Longie and Ashlyn, and
Perfect. Yes.
coordinate that.
Sounds good.
All right, anyone else have any questions, concerns, or comments, or? I see no hands. Thank you, guys. All of you. Wow, what a lot of information. I know Joseph has been busy.
PowerPoints.
Nonstop typing, so he's got it all. So we really appreciate having you all join us. Excellent, excellent, excellent presentations. Okay.
Thank you for having us. Looking forward to having more discussion in the future.
Thank you. That was super informative, all of it.
Great.
Yeah. If everyone could share information, because I think we really can't prosecute our way out of like the scam part of it, which is very devastating for people. So I think, the more people talk about it, the better chance we have of maybe escaping people from falling into that particular crime. And then we can deal with all the other crimes that happen to older adults that are more connected to a trusted person. I see Liz has her hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm still really kind of shocked that people fall for this as often as they do, and then it keeps on, and that it continues to be as common as it is. But I think the more that we talk about it, and let people know this is what a scam looks like, that's what a scam looks like, here's how they tap into your your sense of compassion or humanity or nervousness that tricks you into falling for it, that makes it easier to keep ourselves safe from these things.
Yeah, there is a biological component to this, and I don't know if it's worth finding someone to talk about that, but they really are able to really hit your limbic system so that you just don't suspend your natural sort of ability to reflect.
Yeah, my dad actually got a panicked call from allegedly my nephew, grandpa, and he said, it really freaked me out. I can't imagine that I would fall for such a thing, but he sounded so urgent. It really sounded like his voice. And then I was like, but this doesn't really add up. So I asked a couple of questions and I said, let me call you right back. And that's when the whole thing died. So, yeah.
I also got caught up in a scam at one point and it cost me some money.
I remember you told us that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That broke my heart, Mary.
It does.
Yeah, what I told Richard's folks when I went to talk to his folks is don't play with the scammers ever, because you know, everyone really underestimates their ability to persuade you. They're really, really, really good. So as soon as you figure out that it's a scam, you got to disconnect, block the number, delete the email, have no further contact, because they're really, really good. They're that good.
And that's why it's such a shame that a lot of people feel ashamed that they were scammed, you know, and feel vulnerable. But, you know, I know what happened to Mary as well, because she communicated with me right away. And I often use her as an example when I'm speaking about it, without, of course, sharing her name or information, because Mary, you know, she's a community leader. She's been doing this for so long. She's heard all these scam stories. And you know, it's interesting what you just said, Janine, because I'd never heard it in that context in terms of biology and the limbic system. That's nuts. And that's a profound statement that you made. So
I mean, you know, what I got caught up in was an email from somebody who I know, you know, except that it was, of course, a different email address, but it didn't, you know, I wasn't feeling well at that time or whatever. And, you know, it just didn't dawn on me that it could be a scam.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I did once get a text message from somebody who wanted me to go to Staples and buy gift cards, and I replied to them and I said, "Oh, sure, I would love to do that. There's a Staples right across from the 34th precinct. How about if I meet you there?" And weirdly, I never heard from them again.
gee.
And it kind of, you know, that gave me my joy for the day, but yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, I will be sending out the PowerPoints from both groups to everyone on the call. So
Oh, great, yeah.
anyone else hear of that would like to get this information. And I'm also sitting here thinking my other organization, Waikoa, may be a good place to have this presentation repeated, because we have a lot of other agencies represented at Waikoa, and you know, that work with the elderly. So we'll be talking about that at the Waikoa meeting.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you have like you know, a handy 1-pager or a 2-pager back to back, or, you know, or a 1-pager in English and in Spanish that can be copied back to back that we can give out at you know, at the general meeting, and that we can share from you know, from the CB12 email? Because I don't think that we're necessarily going to share a whole PowerPoint, but if there's the, you know, the Cliff Notes edition to share with the community, I think would be super useful.
yes, that's what I'm going to share. That's what I'm going to share with you, Mary.
Oh, great.
Okay.
In Spanish.
It's a good point, because I, for instance, I'm involved in the exercise group at the Armory. There's a new seniors aim high at the Armory exercise group, and there are almost 200 people there every Tuesday for this exercise group. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, what a great place to be able to hand out that kind of information. So, yeah. Okay, fantastic. Again, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Let me just get into the other issues on our agenda. Does anybody have any ideas or thoughts about future presentations? Liz?
I mean, I was just wondering, this program that you're talking about at the Armory, you know, if they were able to, I mean, does it make sense for them or for Parks to give a presentation on some of their senior center programming or that kind of thing? I mean, I know that's been done in the past, but since that's since the available menu of options is kind of dynamic, perhaps it's time to revisit, you know, what some of the available community programming that people may not be aware of.
Okay. Certainly a good thought. Anyone else? And again, the plea goes out if anyone has any ideas. You have my email, so please let me know. Old business.
I actually,
Go ahead.
I actually have to hop off. I thought this was only going until Q2, so I have to hop off. But I
Okay.
will see you at the general.
Okay. Very
All
good.
right, bye.
Liz,
Thanks.
thanks for sharing your video.
Happy to do it. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Yep. Okay. Under old business, we had talked last time about the M3 bus changes. The M3 stops up on the northern end of St. Nicholas Avenue having been eliminated, which puts a lot of our seniors in distress, if not jeopardy, from having to, walk those extra blocks to get home or to get to the bus from home, because, those North buildings are on Fort George Hill and on Fairview Avenue, which is also a hill. So we are having that issue presented actually at the Traffic and Transportation Committee meeting of Community Board 12 this Monday. Hopefully MTA will show up, which they didn't at the
I think that was the M3.
M3, yes.
And what's
The northbound 190 and 193rd Street bus stops have been eliminated. And also the southbound 190th Street bus stop has been eliminated. And we would like to, and also we've gotten the electeds involved, so, hopefully, we're gonna go somewhere with that, but I think that both committees, we're trying to work together so that we can hopefully get those stops reinstated somehow and make it easier for the people who live in that area, because also involved is, visitors to Isabella. I mean, people are going up there to see their relatives, and they're not all young people. It's, spouses and other relatives that go up there to visit or for other things, go up there for other things. So, that's an issue as well. So hopefully Isabella will be behind us on that. Any new business, anybody?
I have a question, but I don't know if it's germane to this committee, and if it's not, I apologize. But it's dangerous for seniors. There is a street lamp that has been out now that tunnel, the 184th Street tunnel to the A train has been reopened. On that block, there is a street lamp that's been out. I reported it to 311, but it's been reported over a year. So I called 311. I said, look, if it's been reported over a year, you can't report it again. And I said, what do we do about it? So she said, well, then you can report the DOT for not handling it. So I did that, and I got an email back from a no reply address that says, this is a Con Ed problem, reported to Con Ed. I'm not sure how it's a Con Ed problem, and I went on Con Ed's website that they linked there. There's absolutely no place to report it.
Julie, the best thing to do is to send that information to Ebenezer.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he'll bring it, he'll
The cabinet.
discuss that at the district service cabinet meeting, which meets on the third Thursday morning.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, because he has all the agencies at that meeting, and if not, he'll contact them directly.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mary,
Yes.
you asked me to kind of bring up the topic of how are we going to support the in-person regulation that is necessary to help you?
Right. I did say that to you, didn't I?
Because we want to do it. I mean, I want to do it, but I don't want to have to do it more than anyone else, no.
Question from Carol is, how do we, I guess, what do we do about the fact that the members of the committee are encouraged to be in person at the meetings? And the reason for being in person is because there are regulations with the hybrid meetings that majority of the committee must be in person in order to vote on anything. Because the members of the committee that are on Zoom are not eligible to vote unless they have a valid reason for not being able to come in person. Like like I have a disability form in because of my mobility issues. Liz Ritter has a disability form in for something that
Mary,
down with her.
Mary,
Yes.
just a quick question. Are you not able to change the bylaws? Because we did that with our board.
This mandate has come from the city.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, all right.
This is not a board requirement.
Yeah.
This is- And the rules and regulations, governing hybrid meetings. So we're trying to encourage all members of the committee to be in person if they're able to. And like I say, at this point, we hope that people will come in person. If you can't, you can't. But it also has a bearing on, whether we can do anything in terms of voting on anything, or, even having resolutions or whatever. It's going to be an issue. If there comes a time when we have to do that, we don't have a lot of resolutions coming out of our committee, but people would have to be coming in person in order to be able to vote on those things. So, bottom line is try to come in person, try your best, even if it means, that it's a little difficult. But I understand if you can't.
Mary,
What can we do? Yes.
would you be willing to survey the committee members to see if there's a better time for the meeting? I think 10:30 works really well for Zoom meetings, for, people who are integrating that into the workday. But a daytime meeting that takes travel in both directions can be really difficult. And there might be a couple of different options, but I'd ask that you survey committee members to see if there's a better time.
I can do that. My fear, though, is that if we change the time of the meeting to an evening meeting, for instance, that we would lose our attendees.
Yeah, no, in saying that, I'm aware of that and think, that's the guts of this committee in a way that it isn't other committees. The other possibility might be 9 o'clock in the morning, first thing in the morning, so that we don't have the travel time in both directions coming out of our day. 8:30, 9, something like that.
Okay. I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard.
And maybe the same for the end of the afternoon. That would at least cut the travel time.
Okay. Any announcements from anybody?
I have one.
Okay.
Just wanted to share with everyone that both APR and Fort Washington will be open for Thanksgiving Day from 11 to 3 for the entire community. I'll share the flyer with Mary so she can send it to the entire committee.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else?
Okay, it's too late now. Okay.
Carol?
Is there a number that that is required to be on hand in person? Or
Quorum.
Quorum. which is one
How
more than
many?
that. Quorum. We have 9
10?
members. We have a new,
Five.
huh?
For 5
So it would be 5, yes.
5
committee members.
5 committee members. It doesn't matter if they're public.
What if we could rotate committee members who have to be here?
We could do that, but that would take some planning.
Okay.
Let's think about that. Okay, so. Seeing no other hands or any other issues. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, December 7th at 10:30 a.m. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And happy couple of days after Halloween. I'm glad it's over with. I have to eat all the leftover candy, so. Anyway,
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes, motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, seconded.
Okay,
Wonderful.
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanksgiving. Take care, everybody.